Well, thanks for joining me on the WITN First Alert Desk. I'm Hannah Hutter. We have all things news and weather for you today, and we're going to start with an arrest in Jacksonville. We have So 2 people have been charged after a case of road rage turned into a shooting in Jacksonville. Originally, police were told the driver of an SUV shot at another car near Henderson Drive and Davis Street around 6 p.m. Wednesday. Police now say the driver of that other car actually fired a gun from inside her vehicle. Savannah Hayek is charged with filing a false police report and discharging a firearm in the city. Now, warrants say the 19-year-old initially told investigators that someone had fired a shot into her windshield when in fact she fired the gun. Also charged was 28-year-old Daquan Fentherius with resisting a public officer. His arrest warrant says the man removed the weapon from the crime scene before police arrived. Now, both of these people were released on a $500 bond. Okay, and now we're going to turn it over to NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer, who has more on a virus that is spreading across India.
This is a highly contagious virus between humans, and it's often deadly. The 2 cases of Nipah virus were detected in India in the state of West Bengal, but there are concerns the outbreak could spread. The virus has a fatality rate of 40 to 75%, according to the World Health Organization, deadlier than the COVID virus, and there's no vaccine for Nipah. So authorities in India are taking no chances. At the same time, several airports across Asia, in Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong, are taking steps to screen passengers for any symptoms. Nipah is a zoonotic virus that's transmitted from animals, usually fruit bats, and doesn't spread easily to humans. It can also come from contaminated food. And when it does hit, it initially feels like the flu, then worsens. Experts say pneumonia and other respiratory symptoms can develop. But the most serious complication is encephalitis, or inflammation of the brain. The WHO says the fatality rate has a lot to do with the country's capacity to test, trace, and treat those infected. In India, authorities have quarantined nearly 200 people who may have come into contact with the 2 infected. It's the first time in nearly 20 years that India has had cases, but they believe the outbreak is now contained. Still, it's a situation that U.S. health officials are watching very closely, the CDC saying they're ready to assist if needed. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News, Beijing.
All right, and we're now joined with meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger, who's going to give us all the details on the winter weather that we're expected to be getting.
Yeah, it is going to be hopefully a fun weekend for everyone if you love snow. If you don't, I've got some bad news for you. It's going to snow. Here is a look at exactly what we are anticipating for both Saturday as well as Sunday. Currently looking, generally, I would say most areas have a pretty good chance of getting about 5 inches of snow. Now, of course, there are going to be pockets where we see some get a little bit more snow than others. The reason for that is there is going to be some dry air trying to mix into kind of the moisture field around the low pressure system that's going to be the source of a lot of these snowflakes. Do want to say good afternoon to Esmeralda along with Jeffrey. Thank you guys so much for joining me over on Facebook. Me and Hannah. Of course, we're tag teaming this one. Exactly. We've got, again, our sights set on a snowy weekend. Everything starts most likely for most inland areas Saturday morning. But for those of you along the coast, you guys are still going to be a little bit warmer than freezing, which means you will start out with some rain showers initially. Current air temperatures right now reading generally in the mid-30s. Some of us are reporting the upper 30s. Jacksonville, Stumpy Point, looking at you guys. But we also have some folks still in the low 30s. We've got 32 degrees in Roanoke Rapids, Williamson, along with Edenton. We've got 31 in Elizabeth City. So there are some areas that are still down towards freezing. Obviously, it feels quite a bit colder when you factor in the winds. Right now, winds blowing at about 7 to 15 miles an hour across the east, coming in out of the north-northwest, which will only bring in colder air as we head through the afternoon. So air temperatures probably not going to be getting a whole lot warmer than where we find them right now, but the wind chill is certainly going to be with us as we make our way through the afternoon. So regardless of, what your thermometer is showing at your house, you need to understand that you're going to want a jacket as you head out the door, something that can block the wind as well. Keep that skin protected. That way you won't feel quite as cold as you step outside. Later on tonight, dropping down below freezing as we head towards sunset, 6 o'clock, 30 degrees, 25 by 11. We will likely end up in the upper teens to low 20s early tomorrow morning. But we got to talk about, again, the opportunity for flakes coming in. We may see a few brief little snowflakes around the east on Friday, particularly closer to the Virginia line. But everybody, again, is going to be, it's going to be kind of a pump fake, if you will. It's not a full start to those snowflakes. Friday, if you see any flakes, just calm down. The big stuff is going to be coming in more so Saturday afternoon to Sunday morning. That's when the really heavy stuff is going to be present. I also want to say good afternoon to Amanda Bloom. Again, thank you so much for joining us from the Maysville and Jacksonville area. But here's again what we've got for Saturday morning. And for those of you along the coast, this is not exactly what you want to see. Understand this, that usually whenever we're forecasting snow in eastern North Carolina, we always contend with the warm air that's closer to the Atlantic. We always refer to it as the warm nose because it looks like a little nose sticking in to eastern North Carolina when you look at a vertical profile of air temperatures throughout the atmosphere. From the ground level all the way to the top level of the atmosphere, there's a little bit of warm air that always sticks in, and it usually creates a little bit of a headache for meteorologists because it really reduces snowfall amounts because, again, rain showers and snowflakes, certainly not the same thing, and they don't stack up the same way. So at this point, for those of you watching along the immediate coast, around the Sounds, understand Saturday morning, you could still be looking at some rainfall coming down. That changeover from raindrops into snowflakes should happen around lunchtime into the mid-afternoon on Saturday. Everyone is looking at snowfall coming down Saturday evening to Saturday night. Unfortunately, our model run does not go out that far, but we also want to highlight winds. Winds are going to be strong with this system. Normally, we don't ever see power outages with strictly a snow system. Power outages are usually synonymous more so with ice. And this is certainly not looking like a major ice event for eastern North Carolina. Love saying that. But winds will be strong enough again to possibly crack some weak branches. Here's a look at your sustained winds, upwards around 20-25 miles an hour. Check out along the coast. And Amanda Bloom pretty much just took the words out of my mouth. Is it going to be a blizzard effect along the coast? Amanda, we will get close to that possibility. Right now, I think Hatteras has a pretty good chance of seeing a blizzard warning go up, which is, again, not a common thing. I think we'll be, in the past 13 years since I've been at the station, it will be our first blizzard warning. Pretty sure about that. I can't remember another time where we've had these types of conditions. Again, note just how strong those winds are from I-95 all the way to the coast. Obviously, the Outer Banks is more exposed to those winds, so you will see some higher numbers there, but it is just straight up going to be a windy and snowy event. That wind could, again, push some snow and create some higher drifts in some areas, but for now, we haven't adjusted snowfall amounts based on the winds. We've adjusted snowfall amounts based on the dry air that's going to try to work its way into the low pressure's moisture field. There's that low working its way down out of Oklahoma, moving over northern Louisiana and then over the Mississippi River Delta. There kind of cruises over the northern portion of the Gulf, over northern Florida, and that's where it hits its sweet spot. That's where it's really going to gather up the moisture we need in order to get snowfall out of this system. Note further back towards the west, from Atlanta extending all the way up towards Boone, snowflakes coming down. That is, again, indicative of the cold air that is already going to be present across the Carolinas. So zooming the picture in a little bit closer, and again, we can give you guys a look at what we're anticipating. Note, though, how it's a little bit broken there. We've got some dry air, and by dry air, I'm talking about pockets that don't have green on them. Green or, of course, the pink and the white, light blue colors. That is a big reason why we're not going with higher snowfall amounts. If everything was filled in, then we would be looking again at, I would say, 5 to 8, maybe 5 to 10 inches of snow across eastern North Carolina. But that dry air is problematic for snow. We've got it. It will likely reduce our snowfall expectations, and that's why, again, we've gone with more conservative numbers based on, again, what we saw yesterday, what we saw this morning, and what we're continuing to see as we head through the early afternoon. That dry air, again, trying to make its presence felt. But that low, as you can see, it will help encourage more of a northeasterly breeze initially, but more of a northwesterly breeze as it exits. That's going to draw in colder air, keep everything coming down to snowflakes, and by the time we get to Sunday morning, we will be saying goodbye to the snowflakes, at least falling from the sky. But it's also going to produce some heavier amounts along the coast. That's where I think, for coastal communities, that's where I think we're really going to really rack up the amounts, rack up the inches of snow coming up Sunday morning. I do want to say you're welcome to Amanda Bloom. Yeah, I think it would be good to experience for my daughter that is into science to get that experience. Absolutely, yeah. This is a great science experiment for kids out there. It's like, okay, why don't we normally get snow? And trying to see how they connect the dots between freezing air and, of course, freezing precipitation. Now, evangelist Angela Williams Hardy, will it be like the snowstorm that we had in the 80s? If you want to, yes, in the fact that the overall setup is very similar. We're looking at the same kind of general path of the low pressure system that gave us some of those higher snowfall amounts. I assume you're probably talking about the snowstorm in 1980, and then there was another big one in 1989. Both of those left upwards around a foot of snow in some parts of eastern North Carolina. For that foot of snow to occur, you got to have a moisture field with no dry air in it. The dry air obviously robs you of some of that moisture and takes some of that snow off the board. But yes, this is looking at like a similar setup in meteorological circles. It's called a Miller A setup. That's what we had in the 80s. That's what we're seeing right now, and that's again why our confidence is so high in that we're going to be seeing snow this weekend, just because of that setup. But let's get back again to your weather graphics, and we can actually just skip forward. We can put your 8-day forecast up. How much snow in Jacksonville? From Shirley Hernandez Ramirez, I would anticipate 3 to 5 inches of snow in Jacksonville. Shirley, hopefully again you are ready with your sled, your coat, your gloves, your hat, ready to roll for some fun in the snow, because again, it's going to be everywhere, but there will be some areas that see higher amounts than others. Here's a look at your full 8-day forecast, but I know a lot of you are probably just wondering, okay, yeah, 8-day forecast, great, Charlie. Can we get that snowfall totals map back up again? Here you are. There again is a last look at your snowfall totals. I want to give you guys an update, though. For those of you joining me right now, you're going to get a little bit of a heads up that coming up at 2 o'clock, we are going to be going through our county-by-county forecast. So if you are looking for a little bit more specific information based off of your county and where you live, tune in. Coming up at 2 o'clock, we're going to be going through all of the counties in alphabetical order. That way we can truly spell out exactly what is going to happen for everybody at a very localized level right here on the First Alert Desk. But for now, Hannah, that's all I got. Is a whole lot of fun coming up this weekend. And to note, Monday is going to be staying cold. So everything that falls on the ground is likely sticking around through the day on Monday. We'll see maybe a little melt, not going to be much. We'll see more melt coming up Tuesday and certainly on Wednesday as air temperatures return from the mid-30s back up into the low 40s.
So you can keep those sleds out until Monday, probably.
Right. Just keep those sleds out until Tuesday morning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. A lot of fun for all the kids and the families out there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, thanks, Charlie. And
Yep.
thank you guys so much for joining us on the WITN First Alert Desk. Charlie will be back at 2 with all your weather and news.